Alright, so I know you guys had a chance to look at the homework answers in class, and hopefully you at least got a copy down, but I wanted to take a couple of minutes just to go through this and make sure you understood what the thinking process was and where all this stuff comes from. Alright, so the idea on this part of the homework was I'm giving you an coordinate, and then you have to tell me what the degree or the radian is and what quadrant it's in. So these are all stuff which is on the unit circle. So square root of 3 over 2, negative 1/2. So I know that my x is square root of 3 over 2, which is a cosine value. And cosine is going to give me square root of 3 over 2 at every one of the pi sixths. I just have to figure out which one of the pi sixths that is, because that is in, let's see, x is positive, y is negative. That's in the fourth quadrant. So the pi sixth in the fourth quadrant is 11 pi over 6, which corresponds to 30 degrees away from 360, which is 330 degrees, and I already said that that was in quadrant 4. Okay, so that's the thinking that needs to go on with all of these, and you should really be doing this without looking at your unit circle if at all possible. If you still need to look at the unit circle, you need to work on it, because this is the stuff that's going to eventually be tested and you won't have a unit circle to look at. Number 2. Negative square root of 2 over 2, negative square root of 2 over 2. Well, they're the same value, which tells me it has to be at a pi fourth somewhere. And the fact that both of those are negative tells me it's in the third quadrant, because x and y are both negative in the third quadrant. So the pi fourths in the third quadrant is 5 pi over 4, which is the 45-degree angle in the third quadrant. So if I kind of go from 180 and add 45, that's 225 degrees. And I already said third quadrant. 0, 1. 0, 1 is actually on an axis, and that's the point 0, 1. X is 0, y is negative 1. That is straight down. So if I go straight down, that's going to be at 3 pi over 2, which is 270 degrees. And that's not going to be in a quadrant. It's going to be on the y-axis. All right, so there is your thinking process through all those. So I'll finish writing these up, go through them very quickly. Negative 1/2 square root of 3 over 2. Okay, so cosine is 1/2, so that's at a pi thirds. Negative 1/2 square root of 3 over 2, that's negative positive. That's going to be in quadrant 2. So we're going to be at 2 pi thirds, which is 120 degrees, and in quadrant 2. 1, 0, that is straight to the right. So that's going to be 0 degrees, 0 radians, and that's on the x-axis. Or it could also be 360 degrees when it comes all the way back around, or 2 pi, still on the x-axis. So that one could actually be either or. Square root of 2 over 2, negative square root of 2 over 2. Again, that's at a pi fourths, so that's going to be x is positive, y is negative. That's in the fourth quadrant, so that's going to be 7 pi over 4, which is the same thing as 315 degrees, which again is in quadrant 4. And then the last three is negative square root of 2 over 2, square root of 2 over 2. Same idea, except this time x is negative, y is positive. So that's going to be in the second quadrant. So that's going to be 3 pi over 4. And in second quadrant, that's going to be 135 degrees. And that's quadrant 2. 0, 1. 0, 1 is straight up on the y-axis. So that's going to be pi halves, or 90 degrees. And again, that's on the y-axis. And then 1/2 negative square root of 3 over 2. So again, cosine is the x. Cosine is going to give me a half at all of the pi thirds. So this has to be something with a denominator of a 3. And that's going to be positive x, negative y. That's in the fourth quadrant. So the pi thirds in the fourth quadrant is 5 pi over 3, which is going to be 300 degrees. And again, that's fourth quadrant. All right, and then the bottom two. Given that we know theta is in quadrant 4, is the value of tangent positive or negative? Well, tangent is y over x. In the fourth quadrant, you're going to the right and then down. So x is positive, y is negative. If I get a negative over a positive, I'm going to get a negative. So tangent is negative. Same idea for the last one. Given that theta is in quadrant 2, is the value of sine positive or negative? So this is just asking about sine. Sine is your y value. In quadrant 2, the y values are all positive. So sine is the y value, and in quadrant 2, y is positive. So sine is positive. All right, and there's an explanation on the homework for you guys. Excuse me. Again, the second homework assignment, or the other part of the homework assignment, was filling out the top quarter of the unit circle. You should be able to do that by now. And then the other two questions are very much like 10 and 11, but they don't even ask you to explain, just to know where something is, if it's positive or negative. So you shouldn't have a problem with that. If you did have any issues with the drill, especially with maybe the first one where you had to know all the values, including the natural log, or if you had any problems with the standard deviation type problem, we can cover that next time in class. But hopefully you guys can get help from somebody in class. All right.